A shooting shakes Oklahoma State University. In a tragic incident that has sent shockwaves through the campus and the nation, a shooting occurred overnight at Oklahoma State University, leaving at least 3 people injured during what is being described as a chaotic and devastating event. Today, we delve deep into what happened, the ongoing investigation, and what this means for higher education security amid rising violence in the United States.
Imagine millions of people across the United States rising up in the streets, not just to protest one policy or one event, but to raise a much deeper alarm that democracy itself is on trial. Tonight, we dive into one of the most explosive developments of 2025, the nationwide No Kings movement, and the surreal reaction from the highest levels of government. At the center, Donald Trump, and a video that challenges the boundaries between political theater and authoritarian symbolism. What's happening, why it matters, and why the world is watching. Let's get into it. First, what are these protests? In June of 2025, a major mobilization took place under the banner of No Kings protests. Protesters in thousands of locations across the U.S. gathered to express alarm at what they described as an increasingly authoritarian trajectory in U.S. governance. Fast forward to October 18, 2025, the second major wave of these protests. Organizers claim more than 2,700 events in all 50 states, with attendance figures in the millions. Some estimate nearly 7 million, making this potentially the largest single-day protest in U.S. history. Why the label No Kings? Because protesters say it's about rejecting a return to monarchical or unchecked executive power. "We have no kings in America," they chant. They are drawing a direct connection between executive behavior, militarized deployments, federal overreach, and what they see as erosion of democratic checks and balances. These demonstrations were largely peaceful, highly creative, with costumes, slogans, street theater, yet laden with serious intent, defending First Amendment rights, resisting perceived drift toward autocracy. To understand the buildup, we need to examine the broader context. The Trump administration, his second term, has been marked by heightened federal deployments of law enforcement and military resources to American cities, controversial immigration and domestic security operations, and rhetoric about loyalty, dissent, and protest. Organizers of No Kings point to these as evidence of executive overreach. At the same time, protesters say U.S. governance must remain rooted in the Constitution, that power must remain accountable, and that the idea of a king, someone above the law or operating by whim, is antithetical to American democratic identity. And then there's the personal branding of Donald Trump himself, his rallies, his self-image, his use of media and symbols. All of this plays into the fears and also the spectacle. But the story doesn't end with the protests. Enter a particularly telling moment. On October 19, 2025, President Trump addressed reporters before boarding Air Force One, responding to the No Kings demonstrations. He said, and I quote, "They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is." He dismissed the protests as very small, very ineffective, and said the participants were whacked out, claiming they weren't representative of America. He also suggested that the protests were paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. This moment is key. The leader under fire denies the premise of a monarchical mindset, but couples his denial with aggressive language and dismissal of dissent.
But then the scenario takes a surreal turn. On the same weekend of the protests, Trump posted an AI-generated video to his social platform, Truth Social, in which he appears wearing a crown, piloting a jet labeled King Trump, and dumping brown sludge over crowds of protesters in a cityscape resembling Times Square. The clip is accompanied by Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone and is clearly a provocative satirical statement, but one that raises serious questions about symbolism, power, free speech, and political theater. In the video, what is the message? Mockery, yes, but what does it signal to citizens and to world watchers? That the president is willing to depict dissent as debris, to elevate himself to the level of monarch, and to play with visual tropes of power and dominance. Critics say this kind of imagery matters because it blurs the line between political performance and authoritarian posturing. The video was posted in direct response to the No Kings protests, a kind of media counterattack. It also opens a broader discussion. When a leader uses AI media to mock citizen protest, when symbolism becomes weaponized, what does that tell us about the nature of democracy?
This isn't just a domestic US story. This is a global story about democracy, power, optics, and resistance. Domestically, the protests show that large segments of the US population believe that democratic norms are under stress, that protest remains a vital part of civic life, and that new technologies like AI video are entering the political battlefield in unprecedented ways. Globally, America's model as a democratic republic is on display, and when a major protest movement inside the US frames its message as "We have no kings," foreign audiences pay attention. Authoritarian regimes will note the symbolism. Democratic allies will watch the dynamics. If America starts looking more like a spectacle of power than a partnership of citizens and institutions, that has ripple effects abroad. Moreover, the use of AI-generated media for political messages brings in questions of truth, disinformation, and media literacy. When the leader of a major power posts a dramatized, surreal video mocking protesters, are we entering a post-factual era of political imagery? What happens to trust, to dissent, to free press?